Good morning, guys. How we doing this morning? Hey, Rick. Good morning. Pyro, how you doing? Alrighty, back to the madness today. Yesterday, we started off, we made this first little preform here. I think I've got an idea of what I want to do, guys. This week, you know, I've told you I'm planning on filming a fulsome instructional video this weekend. So I'm kind of using this week as a primer for that to get me, you know, get it in my mindset. So what I think I'm going to do is we're going to build bifaces this week, and I'm going to show you the process as I take them down and get them, you know, ready for the first flute. And then on Friday, we'll have Fluting Friday. We're gonna do nothing but set up platforms and flute points. So I think if you guys are okay, hey Bill, good morning. If you guys are okay with that, I think if I build up, you know, I don't know, 6 or 8 decent preforms, you know, if I can pick from those, and then on Friday we'll flute all of them. So, and I can show one after another, and the repetitiveness of it is really what I think helps me. I got that tip from a well, Dennis is on here actually. Dennis makes some killer Cumberlands, and one of his suggestions was to make up a set of them and then, you know, do them in order, like get them all to a certain level and then take them to the next level all together so that it really ingrains it in your mind. So that's what I think we're going to do. So that being said, I've got a little bit of a thinner biface here, but it's still well within fulsome size requirements there, you know, that. And then we got this other one that I had worked on. This is a little bit tougher material, but I'm going to attempt to you know, get something that's within this size range around that. That's what I'm shooting for. It's still a little bit thick. We're going to work on that and this today. And then I've got this is some really nice high grade material, but you can see it's really thick, pretty good sized piece of it. So we'll see if we may work on that tomorrow. I've got a beautiful biface here that's just like a quarry blank that I'm going to work. This will be a little bit bigger, you know, wider type. Hopefully I can save some of that width in that. So anyway, that's kind of what I was thinking for the week. I've got a few more pieces. This is Texas rock here. Hey Todd, good morning. Was gifted to me by Blake. I don't know if Blake's in here yet, but he was coming through this area and brought some to me. So this is really awesome opportunity for me to work some really nice Texas material and see if we can't make some stuff that should have been made out of it. So this area right up here is just concretey though. I'm a little bit worried about it. If it doesn't work out, we'll make another one out of something else. But all right, let me see if I can get at it. We're still fairly early in it. I might be able to take a flake from the tip here, almost like a little small flute from the tip. Texas in the house, he says. Yeah. Yeah, just like that. You can see that flake went right here and it went all the way over the top. But what you'll notice is this concrete stuff that I'm talking about. You see those real fine, almost look like tears Well, that's exactly what that is. That's shearing fractures in that rock. And you'll notice that it goes in a line right across where that concrete stuff is. That just telling me that the texture of that rock in that area is completely different, and it's a lot more, well, the slicker stuff, I don't have near those, the little shearing lines in it like that. So the texture is different of the rock, and that's why it makes me a little bit nervous when you start talking about fluting one, because you know, I'm going to need that energy to go from the base to the tip and not have any issues. Anytime you put in different textures of rock, then you take on the opportunity to have it do something weird with your flute once the energy gets to that spot. So we'll see how it turns out. But like I said, my goal is to get this one here somewhere in this range, and then we'll move on to another one. So if you guys got any questions, you know, shout them out there, or, you know, well, don't shout them. No all caps, please, but, you know. Now here we've got a little bit of width to give up, so I'm using that to really build a nice area here to get to this extra mass that we've got on this side. So try to use those areas that you know you're going to lose. You know, it's like we've said before, if there's no sense in setting this up and going against what the rock is showing me here just to, you know, try to set a platform the way I want it to. I can actually use, you know, rock that I know I'm going to lose as, you know, setup to get me to where I want to be, instead of completely doing it and then having to reshape, recontour when I got there. So typically the Folsoms are made out of as high a grade material as they could get a hold of. So realistically, this piece probably, you know, being a little bit more coarse is not primo for a Folsom, but I think it'll work. And this is all part of the learning process. You know, you guys, you have to, when you get into this, you have to understand that you know you're going to break stuff. And that's when it got easier for me, is when I quit worrying so much about what I was breaking and started thinking more about, you know, what I was learning from what I was breaking. And, you know, whether it was my fault, the rock's fault, if it was, you know, my technique, if it was the tool, what it might have been. And just use it as a learning process. You know, when you first start off any kind of craft or any kind of skill that you're trying to learn, you're going to have failure in that. And if you don't, then you're not doing it enough. You know, when I first started playing guitar, I can remember my fingers hurt and I couldn't play the stuff that I wanted to, and everything sounded wrong and the notes buzzed and, you know, all this stuff. And you just have to keep trying. And once you get, you know, a little bit of an understanding about one thing, then that leads to something else. And then pretty soon, some of the stuff that you thought was really difficult is not as difficult, you know, anymore to you. And it's because you just have a better understanding. Those are a couple of really nice flakes across that base. You see how that really brought that edge in. So we'll continue down that. in there. You guys aren't very talkative this morning. Where's everybody from? Another really nice flake. All went to from here to over here. Got a little bit of that too. This is that more concrete, junky side, so. Oh, Cordell, I'm sorry, I may have missed your West Texas. I'm in Northwest Arkansas, and Cordell, I didn't see where you were tuning in from. So if you would repeat that, or one of my moderators, Peckerwood joined. Florida, awesome. Sorry I missed that on the first go round. I shouldn't ask a question and then not pay attention, I guess. Huh? Lufkin, Texas. Right on. Well, I'm working some Texas material here for the next several days. And this weekend I'm going to do a fulsome video film. Central Texas. Thank you, Cordell. I appreciate it. And like I said, I think it's interesting to find out where everybody's from and tuning in from and all that. So there we go. These are breaking up because I'm hitting them, pretty hard. This is tough stone. You can't. But see, and you see those shear marks again? Those real fine, almost look like tears or cracks in there. And they're right across this area, the same area you can see where it's gotten chattery on this side. It just disrupts the energy going through the rock when you're... Cordell, I don't necessarily look for artifacts. I find a few, but the only reason I find a few is the areas that I personally collect rock in. They're the same areas that they were collecting rock and hunting and living in. So I find them occasionally when I'm hunting rock, but I don't purposely go looking for artifacts. I used to, but anymore I've only got. Hey Ed, how you doing? I don't go looking for them as much as I just happen upon them when I'm out. How you doing this morning, Ed? Right on, Cordell. Hey, I was going to tell you, if you enjoy this, check out the YouTube channel. We're getting all of the backlogged stuff from like early February on through current. So in the process, but all of these lives are being backed up on a playlist on. Oh yeah, Ed, we got a little cool snap, but it's been pretty nice here. But yeah, you can check out all of that stuff. All of these lives are going to be backed up on YouTube. Channel name is the same as this one, New Age Neanderthal. So if you want to check that out, guys, feel free to do so. All right, you can see how we got a nice little taper started back here. I've got a little bit, still got plenty of width to work with, so I just don't like this spot for a fulsome. But it's up near what's going to be the tip, so we might get lucky and it either fade into that or just stop shy of the tip, which is fine with me. We've got a little bit of, trying to keep these all pretty close to the same size. And you can see this is just a little longer, so we should be able to save a lot of that, the length in it, and I'm hoping that it'll behave when we get ready to flute. Box Mechanic, good morning. All right, let's see if we can. Sleepy Oak, this is not Georgetown here. This is I want to say it's either Pedernales or that Amoeba Texas rock, Edwards Plateau, but it's not Georgetown. But it's all of this is raw. Everything that I've been working, this is. Now I'm not saying it hadn't been through like a grass fire or brush fire, but it's not been heated. It was picked up. That's what. Look at the quality of some of this stuff. Super nice. This is that kind of amoeba shape. It's got that kind of lumpy, whatever shape to it. But this is some nice high grade material. So look at this stuff. This is some of the same stuff or same area. That is just really, really nice. Hey, good morning. What's going on, Josh? Arrow Sniper in the house. And then I've got this one saved. This is the one I think I'm going to try to do my video on. This is so smooth and creamy, nice material, man. I'm hoping that that it'll work as nice as it looks. But I'm saving that one back for the video, hopefully. Yeah. Perfect Mayo. Well, it just takes practice. You have to understand the brake mechanics of this, or the way that, the easiest way to try to explain it, if you're familiar with like when a BB, yeah, oh yeah. This morning, I was hurting yesterday. I told you guys a couple of times, my hips and my back were really bothering me, and I did not sleep probably 3 hours last night total. Every time I'd turn, I had a nerve that was getting pinched, and it was pretty miserable evening. So yeah, I'm doing the coffee this morning for sure. Probably have a second cup. But no, when you spend enough time doing this, it's part of my deal with my back. I have some days that are better than others, but yesterday just happened to be a bad day. So. But as you do this, when you look at I started off to tell you, when you look at a window pane or storefront glass that gets hit by a BB, you've got a tiny hole on one side and a larger hole on the other side, and that's like the cone is called a conchoidal fracture, and that's the way that this breaks. An easy way for you to understand it, if you're unfamiliar with the concept, if you take and you pour sugar or salt out really slowly and close to it where it creates that little cone, what that is those molecules, those cubes of sugar or salt spread out, and then they start stacking on each other until they get to the point where at the top where they can't hold anymore. And if you put more on it, it breaks away from the sides. Well, the structure of this rock is very similar. So when you strike a spot, it's pushing on each successive row of molecules behind it, and it's pushing those down in that cone shape. It's like the pyramids. The reason that they're built that way is because that's the strongest structure. That's and within this rock, that's the strongest spot. And when you hit it, it's breaking at its weak point. So that's why you get that cone and that the way that it's stacked like that. So if you imagine when you strike down on this, or that cone, how it would spread out in this rock, and then you adjust it. Oh, thank you, Arrow Sniper. I appreciate it. But because that's what, you're not actually breaking the rock. Hey, Bubba, long time no see. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. Well, you know, you have to understand it's not, you're not, like, and you use the term a perfect mayo, when you said cleaving it. It is, you are somewhat cleaving it, because you're not, when you hit the rock, all it's doing is it's breaking at its weakest, where the molecular bonds are the weakest. If you have a larger contact area, then obviously you're going to have a larger area of initiation. It's going to take more force to push that off there. So, Chris, good morning. So I'll quit gabbing here, guys, and just about got this one close to this now. I just want a nice smooth, I've got one little spot here, but just a fairly smooth platform or preform to go on to the next level on this. Awesome, Bubba. Well, I know you hadn't been in here in a while. You've been busy, man. So glad to see you in here. Sorry that I saw that Dalton, the Tallahassee Dalton, met its demise. Sorry about that. That's always a unfortunate incident, but you don't have to respond. I know you're listening and working, so. All right, we've got this area right here that I'm wanting to try to remove. I'm coming in from this side here, just trying to round into it. I don't necessarily want to take the whole thing. I'm just kind of building a road to get there. And we kind of came back out on the shot a little bit, didn't we? Well, that's okay. If you guys can see, once we get into the pressure flaking, I'll bring the camera view in a little bit tighter to show you. Yeah, man, that sucks, Bubba. I'm sorry, man. Putting in that time for sure. When I first started years ago, I worked for an aluminum wheel manufacturer in my hometown here. And when I first started there in 1991, they were behind something fierce. And we worked for 6 weeks, 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts on, and I mean to tell you, getting thrown into a factory. I was 21 at the time. And, you know, my first, lack of a better term, real job, I had worked, you know, fast food and groceries and all that kind of stuff, but put me in a freaking aluminum wheel manufacturing plant 12 hours a day. Started there in July of 91, and it was like working in a sauna. It was absolutely horrendous. But we did that for 6 weeks. I thought, man, I'm just killing it. I thought I was making money hand over fist, you know, making $5.25 an hour working in that plant. And then overtime, you know, $7.70 something, and then, you know, double time, over $10 an hour. Can you imagine that? And was giving so much away in taxes, it wasn't even funny. Now right here, I'm just setting this bevel to this side so that we can... Yeah, no kidding. Times have changed, haven't they, Arrow Sniper? Man, I thought I was... But I was making 1050 was double time for me. They started me off in that factory at $5.25 an hour. And like I said, I thought, man, I have made it. I was paying 200 and hey, Brizzo, what's going on? I was paying $250 a month for my 1-bedroom 4-plex apartment. And was just living large. Yeah, no kidding. That's what I mean, Arrow Sniper. It's, hey, Luna Wolf, how you doing this morning? There it went. Just trying to get a little flake to go over the edge of that, just to build us that convexity so that we can get to this problem spot here in a little bit, right here. And you see how we've now got like this rounded spot. We'll go back this way. Yeah, Bill, that wasn't my first job. That was my first real job. But I was working in the fast food industry making $3.35. Josh, Arrow Sniper, this is some Texas material. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it's like Edwards Plateau. There's some amoeba in here. I think there's a couple of pieces of root beer. I've got Pedrinalis. Some really nice stuff, but it's all Texas stuff. This was gifted to me by, well, I don't know if he's in here or not, but Blake Fleming gave me some material that he collected from Texas. So I'm working on this week. We're gearing up. We're going to do some Folsom. That's what I was going to. Now we've got a few more people in here. Yeah, root beer is awesome material. Friday, I'm going to set up a whole bunch of these this week. That's my goal. Is even when I'm not on camera, when I'm napping, I'm going to be making preforms. And on Friday, we're going to do nothing but flute. We're going to do first sides on stuff and then set up the other side and flute them. And that's going to be the majority of what we do. So I figured that might be something you guys would like to watch. Box mechanic, I don't think, no, root beer, it's a type of chert. I don't know if I've got, I know that on my profile, I've got a picture that you'll see me, or a post where I'm holding up a point to the light, kind of like this, and the light's shining through it. But it's a chert that comes out of the Edwards Plateau formation, I guess. But there's just so many variants. Oh yeah, I know how that is too, Bill. I grew up on a. Right on, Ed. Have a good day, man. Be careful. But let's see here, guys. If you haven't checked Ed out, you need to go check him out. Excellent napper, very knowledgeable too, guys. I don't know if he's still in here. I know he said he was getting ready to go chip, and he's probably working. Because that's what he does constantly. He makes. Hey Jake, how you doing? All right, now that we've kind of went down this side and we came like this with the flakes to build this convexity, now we're going to go back the other way down to set up to come back. I'm doing good, Jake. Thank you. Not bad at all today. Feel a little bit better. I'm tired, but yesterday I was hurting bad. And oh yeah, there you go, Brizzo. Yeah, I started off. My first. Well, I worked at Shoney's here in our little town. That was one of our finest dining establishments back in those days. That was in 1985, and I was a busboy starting off there at $3.35 an hour. Yeah, thanks, Bubba. I appreciate that. Nothing like turning the blade there, is it? Well, Bubba, if it's any consolation, in '85 my wife was one, so yep. That sounds like it, Todd. I grew up. I was a farm boy. Hauled hay and cut, raked, and baled for neighbors as a way to make money when I was a youngster. All right, now we took that series down, fairly sharp because we're still trying to keep that. You can see how those flakes that we just took off. You see how convex this is right here? Yeah, that was me too, Brizzo. That was the year that I started working is when I got to freedom with the wheels, Right on, Bill. All right, now we've got a nice edge, and you can see there's one little spot right here I was really looking at to make sure that it would carry over that. That little step kind of bothers me, but I think it'll go. You must be, Brizzo, you must be talking to Bill. Awesome, box mechanic. Yeah, I know a lot of folks that that's where it started for me. Now I don't go look for them anymore. Like I was telling somebody else earlier, I more look for the material to make them out of than I do the arrowheads themselves. But I occasionally find some when I'm out on my creek banks. But yeah, if I'm out in an area that's got nappable stone, I'm probably yeah, that's me. That's what I tell people, Bill. I said I'm 21 with 33 years. Yeah, this year it'll be 34 years experience. I'll be 55 this year. All right. Now you see how I took that pressure flaker and I kind of worked along this until I could isolate this little nub right here that's in line with that mass that we want to remove. See how that just went right over the top of it? We got most of it. There's a little bit left right here, but I think it'll come out as we work it. Yeah, we'll have to deal with it a little bit more later. Maybe, yep. Right on, Box Mechanic. Yeah, just well, thank you. I'm not there yet, hun. Speaking of the wife, there she is. She's just happy because I get all the discounts now, you know. No, she puts up with a lot with me, I guarantee you, so. I kid with her a lot, but thank you, sweetie. I want as many as I can get, that's for sure. Got that one little spot right up here on the, it's that little high spot. I'm trying to figure out an avenue to it, but we may have to get it on a couple of other passes here. Heck yeah, get them discounts. I'm hoping that I might be able to get some of that right here. If I don't take too much of the thickness out of this tip, but I kind of set up a little platform and I'm going to try to kind of skirt around the back side of that, and I'm thinking it might wrap around and get some of it, but it may not, and we may have to fix it later, so. Just an opportunity for me to give it a try that's not going to mess me up if it doesn't work. You get a discount at the, are you a frequent flyer at the state mental spot there, Bubba? Carlos, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, let's see if we can get lucky here. Yeah, I went right up to it. I'm going to turn this edge just one more time and see if we can. $72-hour hold, huh? Depending on how this sets up, I may leave that in there for one more setup when we start setting up to flute them. So I'm just trying to kind of isolate it a little bit, see if it will, if I could get lucky one more time here. This is probably just gonna compound the problem just a little bit, but I think I can get it off later stages, but I sure would like to right here. But that's through that spot that's kind of chattery, chunky, whatever it is. If I can get one just the right angle, I think I can shoot underneath it. But if not, then like I said, I can get it later. There's my platform. There's a little bit of an undercut, but I'm going to try to get it to run underneath that little pile of stuff right there. They got some of it. That kind of wrapped up around there, and that helped quite a bit. I might actually be able to get the rest of it with what's left of that platform. No, it's undercut too much now. That flake took a little bit of stuff from behind it, so it's just going to be a little blending flake. But see, that got us a lot better there. It's not near as pronounced. And I'm pretty sure it'll come off now in subsequent passes. So, that one needs a little bit more work. But there's our 3 bifaces. Todd, I grind on just that bump to try to, it was kind of smoothing it down. That grindstone or that sandstone will actually take off some of the mass, and it's smoothing any sharp edges and strengthening it. You know, any sharp edge is a spot where you can have like a crack that could start, and if it cracks, it's going to lose energy. I'm wanting that flake to stay together as long as possible because that's the way that it's going to transfer the most energy. You know, when you see them kind of break apart, when I'm holding my hand up underneath and like, you know, supporting that, I'm trying to keep that flake together because if it blows out, I lose all that energy and the flake will run short. So if you guys are having troubles with, you know, where you've got flakes that won't go across the convexity, you need to support, put some support underneath that flake so that it holds it together to keep it from breaking apart. All right, let's see what we've got over here. If we can work. Hey Blake, how you doing? Yeah, this is, I don't know if you were in here. We're gonna, I'm gonna be working on a lot of this stuff off camera, but trying to set it up for Friday. We're just gonna flute a bunch of stuff on Friday. I'm going to try to have as many preforms as I can. So try to see if we can get a few successful fulsoms out of some of this beautiful stone. Now see, this is just early stage stuff. You can do it with a hammerstone percussor. You can do it with indirect. It's just all about, you know, what you like to do, but it's just, I'm just using that negative bulb scar is now the platform for that flake. And then I flip it over and that negative bulb scar becomes the platform for that flake. And then I flip it over and so on. Oh, there's like a little fossil or inclusion in the back of that, but that's how I work around an edge like that. This side here is going to be substantially chunkier. So I used the side that was a little bit more narrow to get into it, and I think I'm gonna go around the tip of this, but I'm gonna do it with the punch because I can be a little bit more precise. But all we're doing, let's see here. All I'm doing is putting this, you can see it's tilted up, setting it right on that edge. Take one more. I saw the flakes jump that time. I don't think I got any in here. I'm going to use that negative bulb scar. Yeah, this was a little bit chattery up here, so just taking each flake and then using that spot. Now you notice I'm not trying to drive any big, long, thinning flakes across this. All I'm trying to do is get a working edge. It doesn't have to be pretty. I mean, it helps if it's organized. If you get a perfect little zigzag, it's a lot easier to work off of. But it's not, oh, there's a big hole, literally a hole in that rock. So we'll have to work around that. Oh, wow. That goes all the way to this. So we're going to lose some size. Let me make sure we've got enough. Try to turn that a little bit because that cavity, you can see right there, goes way back all the way up, looks like to here. And there's another little one over here. So we know we're probably going to lose, well, we are going to lose that material. So I use that aggressively to try to take some material off. See, and I just hit right there down that ridge. Yeah, that's a plot twist. It is, but again, that's what I've told you guys. I like the puzzle. I like working around stuff if I have to. It makes you have to think through the piece a lot more. In doing that flake right there, look at that big blocky edge. Now I'm going to take an aggressive flake this way, and then I should be able to clear this with about 4 or 5 more big removals. So see, there's how much mass that took off there. Justin, this is Texas. Some of it's Pedernales, some of it's amoeba. It's all, I guess, Edwards Plateau chert, but this is just varying types. I think there's Pedernales, there's some root beer. Just a bunch of different kinds, but it's all Texas, raw Texas rock. See that, just a little. I think I actually need to take one more right there though. See, I used that platform right there to take off that large amount of mass. Yeah, I like working it, the raw material, Justin. I like the texture of the rock usually better, unless it's just plain unworkable. You get some of that. raw stuff that it's just, you're not gonna, it'll beat you up pretty hard trying to work it. But if it's tough, I like tough rock, but I don't necessarily like, you know, next to impossible rock. See, there's the last of that hole right there. It's probably going to break right there where it's at, so I'm trying to think of how I can use that spot. Yeah, I didn't like that one. That was a little more aggressive than I wanted because I still got that, but I lost some size to it. Let's see. We're still pretty close. I can... Right on, Justin. That'd be awesome. Absolutely, man. Anytime. Wow, thank you for the follow. Yeah, it's important to have your spot to do it for sure, Justin. When the weather is really nice, I go out on my screened-in porch out on the front, but I'm thinking I may start doing some of the lives out there. You've been taken over by pollen. I think everything's just about been taken over by pollen, or is getting ready to, Bubba. It's not quite here for us, but that yellow green is going to be everywhere. Got to set some boundaries. That's right. But see, now I'm just using all those sharp edges from when I was doing the initial stage. I'm using those little drop down spots are now. Yeah, it's not here yet, Bubba. But we're close. That cedar and all that yellow stuff, there'd be everywhere. Oak pollen. Got this one more little problem spot back here. And all I did right there was just kind of lower that. This is still, a lot of mass, but you notice how low that platform is compared to the rest of that. Oh my goodness, Bubba. Yeah, you guys got some weather for sure. We had the wind, but we missed a lot of the really bad stuff. We just had the wind associated with it. I'll keep this, you can see this is tilted up. trying to put that little ridge where I want that to run over. That should be at the bottom. And I'm pulling back. See how that just took and rolled over and took that little knob off the end of that. That's all that we were looking for. Now I've got a spot right here that I can kind of wrap one around. And again, I want that at the bottom of what I'm hitting. That one came across there. Then I've got another little ridge right here. And you just keep working those little spots like that. And right there, I'm just doing a miniature version of that zigzag. Yeah, I used to do it in my garage too, Rick. When I first started napping, I had obsidian shards everywhere in that garage. It was it wasn't real safe with shoes on. That was 30 years ago. You see, I'm just flipping that back and forth. I'm doing the same thing. We got the puzzle piece. Hold on. It's like that thing always does that right when I get to a spot where it seems like everything's working well. All right. That'll work good for you, Rick, for your pressure flaking. And the thing about it is that, you know, well, depending on how you like to work plate glass or any of that stuff, but when you've got that square edge, you're doing the same thing. You zigzag back and forth. I've got a couple of nicks on me this morning from that stuff. It'll get with you quick. But no, that glass, if you just work it zigzag and you end up with that serpentine zigzagged edge, then you come back and you pull off little flakes off those points to the face that they're closest to, and you get a nice convex edge on your piece. And I'm doing the same thing that I would do if I was working on a piece of, you know, with a slab or a plate glass or anything like that, is you just use the negative bulb and you just go back and forth just like that all the way down the piece. There's the last of this little hole back here, and it's going to make a nice little setup. All right, I left it a little bit beefy because there's like a quartz right on the end where I want to hit, so I left it a little bit stouter, and I'm going to try to throw a flake right up around this stuff. No kidding. Rick, I tell you, and there's a guy that does that with Ken Wallace is his name, Paleo Man 52. You don't want to abrade it a lot, especially on that glass. You know, you see when I'm using this punch, I don't abrade a lot. It's more about just taking off the little weak flakes that are going to, you know, come off too easily. I'm just using that edge to grab a hold of, and you need a little bit of a sharp edge. It's a feel thing. You know, I don't abrade a lot, because if you make it too stout, unless you're like with these tools, unless I'm hitting it with a hammerstone, I don't want it to be a real stout platform. Antler doesn't respond as well to a real stout platform. And there's the last of that part of it. We've got, all right, let me take this one here so we don't get too thick or wide down here in the base, and then we'll, so that's why I strengthened that a little bit. I knew that was going to come apart a little. I got some of it. It's just not wanting to, there it went, to release quite the same. See, we took a nice little flake across the base there. And here's another one. This may lip, but we've got a little bit of material to give right here, so I don't think it's going to go too bad. But I've got a nice little proud platform with a tapered ridge that goes across here. I might get a good flake out of that. So, and it's, like I said, early enough stage where if it goes out there and goes short, I've got ways to get it out of there before it ends up in the final piece. Let's see if we can run one across here. Oh, it tried to. Then I used the punch as a punch, or the flake as a punch. You can see that where that first flake went in and tried to stop is right in there, and then it actually punched more material out this way. There was a nice flake. Got a little bit of that inclusion left there. Trying to find a spot where I can kind of, I think I might be able to shoot around the end of that and take some of that off. Just like that. Just about got the rest of that little hole that we started off with, and we've worked it into a spot now where it's not, you can see what's left of it right there. We've got a little bit of mass on this side to remove, but we're getting pretty close to, see, and we still retained that size that we were looking for. We're still right in the neighborhood, which is fine. Just went across the top of that. Had a little bit of a spot right here building up. Brandon, good morning. How you doing? A little bit of an inclusion here. It looks like a crack. I hope that it doesn't open up into anything. That was a nice flake. That did a little bit more than I expected it to. I was thinking it would kind of skirt along that, but it went right over the top of that little high spot that we had. That's helpful. Hey Terry, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it, guys. If you'd like to subscribe and support the channel, I'm going to be doing a giveaway for this right here at the end of March. I'm going to give this away to one of my subscribers. So Terry, thank you again. And all you have to do is be a subscriber. You don't have to be present to win when I draw this. So this is a little piece of Buffalo River with some lines in a chalky area that I just turned into a little tail, so, or a rattle. But yeah, you don't have to be present to win those, and I'll draw from all of my subscribers. So thank you again. Let's see if we can. That's my platform now. It's a little bit on the sketchy side. There's a little bit of an area, the low area right here. So I'm going to try to skirt this at an angle and try to come across and flatten that out. Just like that. It didn't go quite as flat as I wanted to. It took a lot of that mass, but left me a little bit of a ridge, kind of a low spot there. I don't really like that, but I think we can catch up from the other side here. Yeah, see that went right over the top of that and met up to that on this side. So that got rid of a lot of that issue there. Let's see if we can finish it up right there. So now we've got a fairly thin base. We've got a little bit of mass in the center here. Take another one right here. There was a nice flake. See, once you start building that convexity and you run those, I mean, that is just a really nice thinning flake right there, guys. Got another one right here. But it's right on that darned old quartz. Let's take one just from the tip and see if we can. Oh, I hit through it. No, that wasn't good, Aaron. There we go. That trailed all the way across that point. I'll show you where. That's the platform that I hit, and then supported across there, and that went from this edge all the way across the other side. Skitty, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it, guys. Awesome. Thank you very much. You will now be eligible for the point also, so thank you. I said I'll give that away at the end of, well, 1st of April for March. Bubba was our, I think Bubba's still in here. Bubba was our March winner. I sent him a hornstone Dalton that I made live one afternoon. Or yeah, well, I tell you what, Bubba, they're gonna think that's rigged at some point. You're a little too lucky. I didn't like the way that kind of lipped right there, but it's in a spot where we've got a little bit of material to give up, so. I needed that flake. It's part of it. That was a good one. Yep, that's where that crack let loose. I knew it was getting close. That was what was left of that little inclusion that we had. You see that little reddish brown spot right there, that line. It goes through a little bit inside there, but I think we've still got plenty of material to kind of smooth that out if it doesn't get too bad there. That's why I was kind of just pecking at that down that edge, just trying to get everything lined up before it broke, because I figured it was getting ready to. And there's still a little bit of crack or seam there, so I'm trying to, I don't want it to, sometimes they can actually, from a little crack or seam like that, you'd be surprised, and that'd split the whole thing in two. So Right on, Bubba. Be careful, man. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna work on this one's about done, and I'm gonna grab another piece of stone, and we'll see if we can get another one to closer to the next stage. So, thanks for coming in this morning. And like I said, if you're missing any of these, Bubba, you can go check it out on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. I'm almost caught up with all of these, so you'll be able to see all of these eventually on YouTube, like a day or two after the live. Right on. I just got the last of that, I think. Let's see if we can. Should be able to run a couple of decent flakes across here and really fix this profile on this one now. You can see how that edge right there is set up, and we've got this area of mass on this side right here. See, that went almost to the middle. Well, a little past the middle. Now that one dug into the previous one a little more than I wanted to. That caught it up. Now there's another little inclusion in there. Well, let's hope that that one holds together or doesn't go too deep. All right, now we've got a little bit of, I kind of got out of wonk there. This is a little thicker up here, a little heavier than I wanted. So I'm gonna trim that back a little bit. All right, we can take a little bit right here. Got one more little spot there. I think I can just, nice little blending flake will take care of. get the tool to grab. I got some of it. There it went. Hey, right on, Terry. Well, man, you be careful. If you miss any of this, I should be close to caught up on the YouTube channel, so keep looking for them on there. All right, we've got a little bit of an area right here that I want to get rid of. Come on, just catch that little edge. There it is. All right. I think we're about where I can set this one with these others. Real similar here. I'll probably finish them and get them a little bit more off camera. I'll get them closer to this one. This one's a little bit more refined. You can see the edges are still a little off on these. They're not quite lined up, and the contouring's a little bit off. But on this piece, you can see that lens shape from edge to edge. We've got nice convexity started from base to tip, and it's got a good body. This one needs to be thinned down a little bit, but these will be very similar. So that's our 4 so far. Ugh. Stuff's chewing my hands up this morning. It's pretty. Thank you, Justin. And we've got this little thick chunk here. Like I said, this is a lot of like the stuff that I pick up as far as the size, and it's a little bit thicker than the reed spring stuff that I work in this area, but I work a lot of, river creek cobbles like this, so you want to start off, let's see here. This one's a little bit more beefy here, so we're gonna use a little bit bigger punch on it. See how we've got, plenty of length. Hey, Kill Creek, how you doing? Now that's got some concrete to that side. You can see some of this rough stuff. That'll make a nice point right there. Nice and straight flake. See how that went edge to edge on that and really established that over here. The only reason I did that is because it was kind of presented itself and I had a little area of trashy stuff up here. Now I'm gonna work this way and try to go all the way around zigzagging. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm feeling a little bit better today. I'm tired. My back and my hips yesterday were just giving me fits, and I didn't sleep very well last night. So I'm tired, but I'm not hurting as bad today as I was yesterday. So that's always a bonus. At least so far, you know, keeping our fingers crossed. All right, now I got a spot there. All I did was take that little flake right there, and I'm trying to, so I can set my punch and go this way and then flip it and just work around in a zigzag fashion. But again, like I said, this is a little bit chunkier piece, so I went with a little bit beefier punch here. That flake was mostly Cortex there. So was that one. I took the end off of that. You can see how we've now got a kind of a working edge here, and it's turtleback, and we just need to get this other side off. So some little bit rough area right there in the end just above my finger, so I'm going to use that, figuring that it's going to crack or break out. I'm going to try to adjust that edge with it. There we go. I was trying to get a little bit more of a downward angle on that, but there we go. Those flakes out from underneath there. All right, now we've worked Not Draw 14. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Gemini, thank you for the follow. All right, we've got this side with flakes going mainly across it. There's a little bit of an area here that I didn't see when we were, but I think I still got enough material to come in somewhere close to this. So take a few of these little opportunistic type flakes. Yeah, that junk goes a little bit deeper than what I was hoping for, so we're gonna lose some coming up right here, but I think I can still keep it within reason. Let's see if I can roll some of that off there. Noah, this is Edwards Plateau. This is some kind of Texas rock. I don't know exactly. I think this is like amoeba, they call it, or something like that. Working my way through this. We got one side kind of flattened off, and the other side is turtle backed a little. So just trying to build some convexity and get to where I can throw some big thinning flakes across this side. It's pretty, this is nice. It's good, consistent rock. Some of it, that's what all of this is this is all Texas stuff. And we're gonna make a bunch of bifaces up. And guys, if you're in here and you weren't earlier, Friday, I'm hoping I'm just going to set up a bunch of flutes. We're just going to flute and call it Flute Friday. So if you want to check it out on Friday, that's what I'm planning on doing, is just doing a whole bunch of channel flakes. If everything works out the way I want it to, anyway. There was a beautiful flake. Just ripped across there and really set that edge nice. It's another one that just matched up against it. What that's doing is going to build us some convexity base to tip. And I'm going to be able to get underneath this to send a big clearing flake up the middle, almost like a flute. See, most of that flaking off this base, that's what I was looking for, is you see how much of this cortex and how much of that flake is almost all cortex. So that means I need to work down from this side as much as possible, because we've got all of our good clean material right here. So if we can turn this edge, come up this way towards this face. We're just going to bevel all the way around to try to raise to where we can take a series of flakes off this side. Well, overall, Bicentennial Mama, this year will be 30 years that I've been flint knapping. But I don't know, I switched to these tools about 8 or 9 years ago. I used to use, some modern tools and some other stuff, and I don't have anything against any of that, so don't. Thank you, I appreciate it. Well, if you've got any questions, absolutely ask them. I mean, that's what I do this for. I'm not trying to hide anything. So if you guys have a question about something I'm doing, feel free to ask. See all these they're almost like pressure flakes, but I don't have to put near as much effort to get those. I'm just turning those edges just real gradually, trying to conserve as much of that edge as we can. Kilcreek, well, it's the way, depends on what it was set up for. This is how you would do, a knife or a spear point, something like this. This one I've put in a little indention in there. That's if I can get it to where you can see, that's a shaft scraper. That's to be able to round and smooth arrow shafts and dart shafts. But you can see how that's wrapped in with sinew. Now this one I don't have any pine pitch on. It's just hide glue and sinew. But this is a knife here that I made live, and it's got pine pitch down in between and sealed in, and then it's wrapped with sinew, and that's the only thing holding that in. But you could do much the same as on a spear or lance as that right there, and that sucker is in there. It is heavily, it's really strong glue, and then that. The sinew is just an incredible fiber. That's tendon, dried out tendon. So the tensile strength of it is incredible. All right, let's see if we can switch to a little bit smaller punch again. Right on, Kenosha. Yeah, I hadn't checked it today yet, but if I can't get down there today, it'll possibly be Thursday when I go to the post office. But I will definitely. What I'll do is we'll set up and I'll work on it all week. Like we'll start off Monday. If I get it this week, I'll do the box opening, and then we'll work on it all next week. I'll break it down from the big piece and try to work each piece, as I take it off there. So hopefully it'll make it all right. I don't see why it shouldn't. So just trying to, dang, that's a big platform. Yeah, this is a moose antler, just a piece of moose antler, but you can use, I've got wooden batons that I've used. I've used leg bones. Learn the chunk. We think it has quartz. Oh, right on. So you sent something else in there too, Kenosha? And the train is going through this morning. I can hear it. Hear the train coming. Isn't that the Folsom Prison Blues? Jay White, I am in Northwest Arkansas. Oh, right on, Kenosha. I'll check it out. Thank you. But yeah, Jay White, I'm in Northwest Arkansas. See, now that one traveled all the way across the top of that. Just took out some more of that junky cortex stuff. Oh, right on. What part of Arkansas are you from? Yeah. I'll check it out. Oh, Crowley Ridge, man. Awesome. You got some material over there that I like working. Oh, Bicentennial Mama. Yeah, that's not too far. That's about an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours from me. Oh, yeah, I know the Crowley's Ridge, Jay White. That's some awesome stuff. That alluvial gravel like that, some of it you get some really awesome colors and textures of that stuff. This stuff here is turning out to be tougher than woodpecker lips, though. I got to get underneath that spot of it right there for sure. Oh, yeah. Bicentennial Mama, I check through. If there's anything in there that I can make a point out of, I usually... Kenosha like that one. If there's something I can make a point out of, usually if I catch them, I set them up here and then I'll work through them later. But if it falls on the floor before I clean it up, I didn't clean up this weekend, but I'll pick through, and anything that I can make a point out of, I do. And then the rest of it, I've got a beautiful rock garden. So, but yeah, well, Jay White, I'm on the other side of that where the bluff dweller, the cliff dweller, bluff dweller culture was really prevalent where I'm at. Over here, next to what they call the Eureka Shelf, where it's just a big limestone shelf, and then everything underneath there's just overhangs everywhere. Your maple has a woodpecker that cleans it up. Oh yeah, I do have a really pretty. There's all kinds of colors in there, Bicentennial Mama. I have worked some Novaculite, but that's I'm farther northwest than that, Jay White. That's way south of me. That's about 4 or 5 hours. I'm up in almost the extreme northwest corner, just north of Rogers, Arkansas, is where I'm at. We're up in the land of Burlington and Reed Springs. That's my native natural stuff here. That's typically what I work the most of. Until, I had a few people start sending and bringing me some rock from, some of my followers, and so I've been working, these gifts that they've given me. So it's been really, really neat to be able to work a bunch of different materials that I don't typically get an opportunity to work. So I appreciate you guys a lot. Yeah, this week I'm working this Texas stuff, and over the weekend I'm gonna do a Folsom video, like an instructional video on making the Folsom from beginning to end. So I'll let you do some digging around. I tell you what, some of that Crowley's is, especially, I've worked some of it raw, but then heated, it's tough. Yes, it's Uperlite, Kenosha. I would love to get some of that stuff. I think it is so cool. Well, Noah, thank you. And Jay White, that you don't have to do that, but I appreciate it. And I tell you what, if you want to send something to me, guys, I'm not going to say no. There's my mailing address. If you guys want to just give me a heads up so I know to be watching for it. But that way, you guys, if you've got something you want to send me to check out or some material you want me to try, just let me know. There's my mailing address. So I've got yeah, Kenosha. I've seen that stuff. I think that is so cool. Yeah, I've actually had a couple of pieces in my cart or in my deal on Etsy. There's somebody that was collecting that stuff, and I thought it was so neat to have. I mean, you can't nap it, but it's just really neat. All right, that was a nice flake there that kind of matched up on this side. That one went across nice. No, it won't be. Oh, right on, yeah. That's where I'm at, is in the Garfield area, Jay White. I mean, I'm a little ways out of town from Garfield, but that's my mailing address. Yeah, that's where my post office box. Big old town of Garfield, all, I don't know, 700 or 800 of us. All right, that one went across. Now I'm going to try, I got a little bit of a stack started right there because those flakes went into the center and dove. I'm going to come from this side and match up with that. See, and that one actually went right to that and cleaned that up. We still got this area over here we need to get rid of, though. Let me see if I can set this up real quick, and then we're getting close to the end of the live this morning. See that high angle that I've got that punch or that rock set at? I'm not trying to drive flakes in. These are just like edge turning. Thank you, Noah. I appreciate it. Now this has got a little bit of chalky stuff right here, but I'm going to take this flake while I've still got enough mass back here. I think I can kind of roll into some of that. It's just a bunch of Cortex right here. And you can see how thick and chunked up it is. So no, I've got a video that's posted up here on my profile. It's one of my first, it's like pinned at the top and it explains it if you want to check that out. But it's just an indirect. I mean, a shaft punch could be used underneath one leg. There's just any way to stabilize it is all you're trying to do. And Bicentennial Mama, that's how I came up with the moniker on here, New Age Neanderthal. My sister and I, a few years ago, had our DNA run. And I have, well, at the time, I don't know what it is now, but I was 96th percentile in the people tested So, you know, I have more Neanderthal DNA than 96% of the people tested. And the region of the world that my ancestors come from, I'm like, I don't know, third generation, I guess. Third generation here in the United States. And my German ancestry comes from the Neander Valley. So I literally am a New Age Neanderthal. That's where the region of Germany that my family comes from is the Neander Valley. So it's kind of cool, you know. I was looking into the genealogy, you know, there was always the rumors, you know, everybody said, oh, your grandpa's got, you know, Cherokee or whatever, you know, and he had that kind of that look, you know, just from years of working outdoors, leathery brown skin, sorrow lines, the whole, I mean, he kind of had the look, but no, come to find out, not even the tiniest percentage of Native American DNA, but a whole bunch of Neanderthal. I even got some. My mom's ancestry is Scotch Irish German with a little bit of English, and then from my dad's side it was almost all German. So there we go. See, we still got a lot of that cortex-y material there, so I'm going to have to lose a little bit of it, of length, trying to get underneath that. Yeah, that seems to be the thing, doesn't it? Bicentennial Mama, they got it's always oh yeah, your grandmother is a, you know, 50% Cherokee princess, you know, whatever. And come to find out you don't have any. The problem is that at the time when they were registering all that, you know, it wasn't necessarily a good thing to have that lineage. So a lot of people, I have heard of Doggerland, Kenosha. About to end up with a preform for an ultra thin here. Oh, that is cool, Bicentennial Mama. Now you said you were in Jasper, Arkansas here a few days. Are you from Arkansas, or are you just traveling in that area? Well, that cortex does not like, it crumbles real bad when it gets hit. There, I needed a little angle to get into that with, and that little flake helped me. Oh, right on. We got a couple of people in here from West Virginia. Don is usually in here. I don't know if Don Stone and Bone is in here. It's being stubborn. What's being stubborn? Oh, the rock is, Kenosha? It is. It's fighting me a little bit. But we'll fight back. See, that one went real deep, and it still didn't get all of that cortex out of there. So I'm gonna take a couple of really aggressive flakes to try to clear it while we've still got enough width. Yeah, see, that was a super aggressive flake. I don't know if I've still got the platform or not there. Oh, there it goes. So we got a lot of that off of there, but we're still a bunch of that junk underneath there. But it looks like it's clean on this side, so I think another couple of flakes and we should get. I don't believe so, Kenosha. I don't know for certain though. It just depends on what the fossil is made of, but I don't believe so. From what I understand, Michigan there's not a lot of Napa, depending on where you're at, but there's not a lot of good lithic resources in that area. It does help. Blake, that's why I was saying earlier, the toughness of the stone allows you to really, like that flake there, I hit that hard. I mean, and a heat treated or less tough material probably would have broken there. So the toughness of the material, it also makes a tougher tool. Yeah, if you want to send me stuff to check out, I'll absolutely try it. But I'd hate for you to go through the expense of it, Kenosha, and it not work out. So, but yeah, Stone Blade, how you doing? All right. We didn't even get into our second cup of coffee this morning. Awesome, Kenosha. I appreciate it. All right, let's see if we can get this a little bit here. That was a nice flake, kind of traveled up over the tip of that. So now we've got the rest of that trashy stuff there to work out. Right on, I appreciate it, Kenosha. Yeah, I like to do some beach combing myself. I think it's always cool what you find. Glass guy. Is that what Stone Blade? You have a lot of like primo slab glass and rock material, or? That was a good one. Just trying to kind of build some a way to get into this junk up here. Well, thank you, Bicentennial Mama. I appreciate it. Hope to see you. I'll be back on here again tomorrow at 8 a.m. So if you want to come by and check it out and say hi, feel free to do so. You have a good day. All right, we're going to see if we can force this to be a little bit lucky here. Because we've got like an undercut platform that's not really ideal, but I think I'm close enough to the edge. Right on. Well, thank you. See if we can. Oh yeah, that ran right underneath that. Perfect. Now we've got another way to get it right here. And then we'll call it a morning. And that one didn't go. So it's still close enough to the edge we can get it though. All right, well there's what we ended up with after beating on that thing for a while. And this is where we're at with our preforms for this Friday. We're gonna be fluting Friday. So I'm gonna have a whole bunch of fulsome preforms, and we're just gonna flute one after another, guys. So that's the goal anyway. Everything. Absolutely, Rick. Man, I appreciate you guys coming in and spending some time. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and put yourself in the drawing for this. I'm going to be giving this away at the end of this month to one of my subscribers. You don't have to be present to win. And this will go out to whoever I draw off the subscribers list, my expense. So just as a thank you to you guys supporting. Hey Gary, I didn't even see you in here. You must have snuck in on me. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a lot of fluting on Friday, hopefully. Absolutely, Blake. Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. My hands are just that rock is tough. You can see there's scrapes and cuts and scratches. So, and Kenosha, thank you for liking the live there. Yeah, guys, I'm going to get off here, try to get some stuff done around here, and I may come back and work on some more preforms. I'd like to have, 6 or 8 ready to go to flute on Friday. That's my goal. So, anyway, guys, appreciate you coming in, hanging out with me, having some coffee. Till I get to see you again tomorrow, take care of yourselves and those around you, and keep chipping.